understanding of your sport and what it takes, plus the visualization, plus eating right, taking care of your nutrition. You put those things, it's like, a Marvel movie that everything comes to, Transformers. You just bring all the elements that are necessary to be successful together at the same time, and it's like explosive, right? But if you're eating right and you happen to be talented, you'll run well, right? So let's just say I eat pretty decent, I'm talented, I'm going to do well. But if I add, a real understanding of the sport and what it takes to do the right training for my event, plus visualization, plus proper care of your body after you finish, am I getting massage, am I, stretching, all these things, if you put them together, that takes me to a different level. A lot of talented people don't do the extra stuff, like dot their I's and cross their T's and make sure they're stretching properly, make sure they're getting proper rehab, or, taking care of their body, make sure they're getting massage, make sure they're resting properly, going to sleep at the right times, waking up at the right time, staying off their feet. They go to a championship and they go sightseeing for days on their legs, the same legs they're going to ask to do the best they've ever done, right? All these little things, the details, it's in the details. When you get to the highest level, everyone's talented. What's going to make the difference is, are you focusing and are you paying attention to the details that will get you to the top? And visualization as well as physical, those are the two biggest things, I think, when it comes to success in sports or life, to be honest.
Yeah, and that year you were, I mean, from the outside, it wasn't obvious what was going to happen, because you didn't win the trials, did you? You were second in the trials to Perry Shakes Drayton.
Oh, I was having one of the worst years of my life, just constantly injured, constantly, having issues with the physical side. My brain was strong. But, again, when you have these physical issues like injury, if your mind isn't strong, it's so easy to give up. Oh my gosh, there's so many times I should have given up, and there's so many times then that had I not had the strength in my mind, like so many people would have given up with the things that I was challenged with that year. It was just constantly something like, oh my gosh. So, but again, I had trained so hard. It did allow wiggle room, right? So, because you imagine you train this hard. If you have a situation that sets you back, you're like all the way down here. But if you've trained this hard and you set you back, you're still up here. Right? So the combination of that and my mind, I had seen myself on the podium so many times. My mind could actually not comprehend another option. So even though I didn't win the trials, my brain could not comprehend that I wouldn't still be going. So even after I did not win, I still just carried on. Like, I did have my little chocolate meltdown after the race because I was really pissed about that. but after that, I just snapped back into it. Like, my brain snapped back, because that wasn't my norm. My norm was that you're going to the Olympics and you're going to be on the podium, because I'd seen it so many times. Kind of like Sally, had experienced, 8 years, sorry, 6 years, well, 2008, yeah, 6 years prior, or whatever, 4 years prior. I can't remember. I'm not good with math. 16 years before, whatever it was, yeah. Right? Somebody figure it out, right? And so it was so normal to my brain. I couldn't do anything but believe until I heard the team management say I wasn't on the team. My brain could not comprehend that was even a possibility. And that's the kind of level of certainty you need to be at in order to get the best of yourself in your life or in your sport.
Yeah.
And it's not easy. It's really hard work to get yourself to being so certain that you just know that success is inevitable.
Yeah. Yeah. But just to paint the picture of the challenge you were facing that year, I mean, would I be right in saying you were separating from your husband at that time as well?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I was separating from my husband, and my husband wasn't just any guy off the street. My husband was actually my coach. for the games. So you can imagine that brings its own challenges. So yeah, it was not easy. I was constantly injured. My son was only 3 years old. And so I was away from him. My marriage was coming to a close, and I mean, probably if I was in a different situation, who knows, I might have gotten an upgrade on my medal.
But when you got there, you absolutely nailed it, didn't you? You really performed on the top stage. You got the best out of yourself at the right time.
Yeah, the interesting thing is I had no idea, because my performances up to that point had not been fantastic. I didn't have a clue where I was at. You know, as an athlete, you want your markers, you want to have done different competitions leading up to kind of get a feel for where I had no idea where I was at. I knew I was strong. I knew, but you know, feeling ready and strong and all that doesn't matter. You know, it doesn't necessarily click as because I'm a hurdler, right? Hurdling just isn't something that you just slide back into, right? It's a rhythm. You get used to the rhythm. So I didn't know where I was, you know, in terms of where I was at with the hurdling side. I knew I was strong. I knew I'd done enough to be there, but you know, I didn't know how the hurdling side would go. And after I did the first round, I knew. First of all, when they told me I was selected, I knew something great was going to happen, because it just went in alignment with everything that I'd seen in my head. I felt like, oh, this is about to be a life-changing experience. And so when I went to the first round, there was still some, you know, nerves and apprehension. Would it really all pan out? You know, there's that little tiny voice in your head that's always trying to get in there and chip away at your confidence. But after I ran that first round, that was it. I knew it was going to be great.
Great. And you won the bronze medal there. What's the moment like when you cross the line? You look at the scoreboard and that's it. I'm the big medalist. Just try and put into words what that moment is like.
Well, the moment when you cross the line, for me was like, wonder if I got a medal, because I didn't want to. I seen people do a lap of honor only to look up at the scoreboard and see they got fourth, and I was not about to do that shit. I was like, I think I got a medal, but I'm not sure, because the other girl was really close on my hind parts, right? So, you know, there's only 10th of a second between me and fourth, and 10th of a second between me and third. So I was not about to, you know, track is a big place and it's hard to see what's going on. You could think you got gold only to find out there's two other people that dipped you way over on the, you know, outside lane or something. I wasn't doing that. So I'll just wait in, gold position comes up, silver comes up, and it seemed like 10 million years. And then Tasha Danvers came on. So oh my gosh, the best feeling in the world. There's no greater feeling than seeing your name come up in lights on the Olympic big screen. Oh, it's the best. It's the best.
Yeah. And you enjoyed yourself afterwards then, yeah?
Just a little bit. Did a couple extra moments, you know. I'm a bit extra.
Yeah. Good. So did you move back to the UK after that?
I was in the UK from 2009 to 2013.
Right. Okay. And I mean, you were unlucky, really, weren't you? It was injury, wasn't it, when you were at your peak, really? You know?
Man, it's just you know, it was like downhill from there.
It was a silly one, though, wasn't it? It was a meeting in Cardiff, wasn't it? It was just a silly,
I did the
unimportant
Super 8.
meeting.
Yeah, the Super 8 was the meet that I did that year. And I was really excited about Super 8. I think Super 8 was a brilliant idea. But it was cold, and I probably didn't take care of my body as well as I should. I was being interviewed, I think, after, or someone was, you know, there was something going on after my first race, which I think was 100 hurdles. And so I was out there without my gear on. You know, my legs were exposed to the cold for longer than they should have been. I should have made sure that I got my my bits back on as soon as I finished. And then you know, then I did the relay and tore my hamstring almost completely off the bone. And you know, part of that is the athlete in me as well, right? Because I felt my hamstring go when I was probably about 100 meters into the race, like I wasn't far into the race. It was a 200 relay, by the way, right? My
Right.
leg was 200. And because it's a relay, I couldn't stop. Like in my mind, I couldn't stop. I had to get the baton to the next person. So I just kept running on it, running on it. And the doctor said when he saw my hamstring, he was like, oh, you were like a few fibers away from having to have it sewn back on.
Oh,
So it's pretty. So that was 2009. And then after that, I was just like, you know what? There was so much going on in my life. Everything just went to crap from there.
yeah. You never really got back, did you, from there?
No. Too much going on. Too
Yeah.
much going on.
And you did get. I mean, you spoke about this. You did just suffer depression and at that time, didn't you?
Absolutely. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. The thing is, I had no knowledge of what depression looked like.
Mm.
So it just kind of crept up without me really understanding, like, oh, you're going through depression. I didn't know what that looked like. I just knew I didn't feel good. And by the time I talked about it, I was probably, with anyone of significance who could help me. Um, I was well deep into it. So I remember speaking to Dr. Dexter, who was our team doctor at the time, and he,
Mm.
helped to put some things.
Paul Dexter at UK Athletics, yeah.
Yeah. And it was him that made me realize that this was not an uncommon thing in athletics, which is quite scary. Um, and I think a lot of athletes don't want to admit it because, you're going to tell your competitor that you're going through mental health issues. The whole world thinks you're a superhero, right?
Yeah.
And to admit that you're going through mental health issues was not a thing. It's definitely become more of a open dialogue, which I think is great, because the reality
Yeah.
is athletes have higher levels of depression and suicide than usually the nation's average, because they're under a lot more pressure, and they don't talk about it. They think they're supposed to do better. And this happens particularly if they get injured. That even increases more. So I think it's so good that, we're seeing major names in the sport. Phelps, Naomi Osaka in tennis, the gymnast, all of them talking about Simone Biles, all of them talking about taking mental health breaks. A lot of people will criticize them, but if particularly people who have not lived in this world and sports, I just think they have no place having any comments about it. And even sometimes some of the old school, like sometimes we judge what's going on with this generation of athletes. Oh, in my day, we would have 50 jobs and still, have to run. In your day, they weren't running 9-5 in the damn 100. Right?
Yeah.
This is a whole different era. In your day, they didn't have social media and people on constantly criticizing you, constantly judging you, having to keep up with an image that the whole entire planet could see every single day, 24 hours a day. You didn't have that, right? So we can't even, even my generation can't judge this generation and what they're going through mentally. That's a lot, it's a lot. The average person can go through mental health issues just doing a 9 to 5. So imagine, the pressure, particularly when you start to get sponsors or you start to get funded, the pressure to perform and stay at your best year